Presented by the Army National Guard, our hometown heroes who are on the front line, keeping our communities safe throughout COVID-19, natural disaster recovery, and more. To learn more, check out nationalguard.com/hometown.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unlocked Live for Inside Xbox. I'm your host, Sydney Goodman, and I'm coming at you live, as the name would imply, from my home. I'm here. You have some cat butt in frame. But we are so excited for what is to come in the next couple of hours. So right now we're going to chat about all the latest updates and news for the Xbox Series X. And then we're going to go over our predictions, what to expect for this Inside Xbox stream, which starts in 30-ish minutes from now. And in that stream, we are going to get our first look at new third-party games and our first look at real Xbox Series X gameplay. I'm sure I'm not the only person excited about that. And then we're actually going to go live again to give our analysis and reactions to all of the announcements. So all of that will be right here in this stream that you are currently watching. We're going to be serving you all of that Xbox goodness on a silver platter, aka the stream. The stream is the silver platter, so you don't need to go anywhere. But I'm not going to be doing that alone. I have none other than the IGN Unlocked crew with me. I have Ryan McCaffrey, Miranda Sanchez, and Brandon Tyrell. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Apologies. My cat has decided that she's really excited about Xbox and will be making a present. No,
it's fine. My cat just slammed the door. So cats are going wild this early in the morning. But why don't we just dive right in? So starting in December, we've gotten a very good amount of news concerning the Series X. Ryan, can you take us through the highlights of kind of where we are in terms of Series X knowledge?
You bet. Microsoft is now a good, 6 months deep into their Xbox Series X reveal campaign. Started at the Game Awards, as you mentioned, Sydney, in December, where we got a surprise unveiling of the thing. I mean, Microsoft had teased it, Project Scarlet, but here it was at the Game Awards, this cool trailer that was like, wait a second, is this a game? No, it's a console, and a really cool looking console at that. The sort of tower design, the Tower of Power, as the Xbox community has come to call it. And Microsoft wasn't even done with showing the box and the name of the machine. They also revealed the exact kind of game that people have been wanting from first-party Xbox for a long time, a single-player, narrative-driven experience. They revealed Hellblade 2, Senua's Sacrifice as well. And we learned over more time here, over 2020, we've learned about the contents of that console: 12 teraflops, hardware-based ray tracing. You've got super fast loading times with a custom hard drive. You've got full backwards compatibility with the entire Xbox One library and everything else that's already compatible from 360, and even original Xbox 4 generations. And those generations will all actually look better running on the Series X. So it has been a really impressive rollout so far. A lot of just really gamer-friendly features on the Series X.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought up Tower of Power, because it feels a little full circle with all of those Halo custom games of Tower of Power, but we won't get into that right now. So, Miranda, earlier this week, Xbox announced something called Xbox 2020. Can you fill us in on what exactly that entails?
Yes, absolutely. So Microsoft will be doing monthly content drops on everything they have for Series X, which is super exciting because who does not like a good roadmap of content? I know a lot of people, including myself, have really wanted something to bide the time until we actually get closer to the console drop. As far as news goes. And I think this is such a great way to just lay out their plans and say, hey guys, we have so much to show you. Phil previously said that they have so many games that they want to reveal, and they have to reveal something every time they go live. And so this is the perfect way for them to do that. And not only to just showcase what they have, but also to showcase their partners. Remember, Phil's really made such a big push to say, it's like, oh, we're working with Japan, we're working with all these different kinds of studios. And this is a place for them to say, hey, here's our fruits of our labor. Here's what you can expect from the next-gen Xbox. So for sure, we know since it is a monthly drop, we are delighted to have them on our Summer of Gaming showcase in July. So we'll be working with Xbox on that. And then, but of course, I think they also have their own content drop at some point, but they haven't exactly said what that will be. However, in July, they will have a dedicated time to focus on Xbox Game Studio games, which we're super curious about because we only really know about Halo and a little bit, of course, about Hellblade. And so everything else officially is a mystery. So it'd be really nice to see them deep dive into that. And of course, they have plenty of other things to talk about. They have Xbox Game Pass. They have Series X news, I'm sure, as well, like more features in detail. We don't even know the price. There's plenty to talk about.
Thank you, Miranda. And I mean, of course, we know a lot, and I'm pleasantly surprised by how much we know at this point. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, you brought up the price. Brandon, can you take us through kind of what the biggest unanswered questions there are up to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking to what you were saying, Microsoft has been more transparent and more forthcoming with information now than maybe at any point in this generation. But having said that, there are still, a few pieces of the puzzle that are missing. Chief among those being, like you said, the price and the date. We know it's holiday 2020. There's been a lot of chatter about the price and sort of where that's going to fall. Phil Spencer came out and said he's got the full backing of Microsoft. So we're still waiting for that piece to drop, and I'm sure that'll come in the coming months. Outside of that, we do know there's also another piece of hardware out there, right? There's another console. So the rumored Project Lockhart, which is supposed to be an affordable sort of companion to the Xbox Series X. Still don't have any information on that, and I imagine that's coming in the weeks and months ahead as well. The big piece of the puzzle for me personally is the launch window lineup. So what is Microsoft going to say to bring people in to this console during that launch window in the holiday? We need to see the games. We need to know what people are going to be playing. And I think today is going to go a long way in helping sort of define what that roadmap looks like. We know we're going to be seeing third-party gameplay, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, anybody? We know we're going to be seeing games from their partners. And then the last piece of that puzzle is the first-party studios, like Miranda said. Microsoft has been on a spending spree, picking up a stable of developers. So we're going to be able to see what they're bringing to the table, after this event, but certainly before the console comes down. Microsoft really has to answer that question of like, what are we going to give gamers to bring them in the door? And I think the next couple of months are going to be really exciting.
Thank you, Brandon. Sorry, I gave a little oh my gosh because working at home means that your cats are playing with your ring light and almost knocking it off your desk. But we're clear, everything's fine. So we've talked a lot about Xbox's strategy, and we actually got the chance to sit down with Phil Spencer. So why don't we check out that chat now?
The competition has done a really good job this generation. I think the loyalty that their fans feel to the brand, they've earned that. And our job is to earn it back for the people that have left Xbox. And as many new customers are coming in to console gaming, probably no disrespect, but probably a lot that don't know about an IGN poll on the website. Right. It's important that we are very crystal clear in what we're building towards, that we build great value, that we have features that you can demonstrate real end user value with, that they see the difference in the games. And this is absolutely a long game for us. And I feel like I've kind of been in this role through a generation where we were far enough behind that kind of catching up was probably definitely not realistic. And we are dead set on being in a position out of the gate with the right product, with a product truth that really shows what we're doing. We know we have to go show great games that get people excited. And I think as we continue to tell our story, we continue to put the gamer at the center of every decision that we make, whether it's back and pat, whether it's smart delivery, whether it's the tech that's in the box, whether it's how we treat exclusives, all of those things. I think in the end, we believe in our plan and what will happen. But we got to go earn it. There's no doubt about that.
So Phil says he believes in their plan, and actually I do too. So Ryan, you were in that interview with Phil Spencer. What can we expect moving forward from Xbox?
Well, I really think there's about a 0% chance at this point that we're going to experience the fumbles of the Xbox One start to the generation again. I mean, Phil Spencer's been in charge for a number of years now. He was installed as the head of Xbox fairly early in the Xbox One generation. And he has not just talk the talk. He has walked the walk. And since he has taken over, we've seen the backwards compatibility program kicked off. We've seen Xbox Game Pass kicked off. We've seen the Xbox One S, just a nice, really impressive redesign of the core console. And then the Xbox One X, which was able to correct the whole power narrative and definitively reclaim the most powerful console crown, if you will. And so all along the way, and now Phil has purchased a number of studios. There are 15 first-party Xbox studios out there, all making games for the Series X generation. So really, Phil has and he's a gamer himself. I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, you know, if you talk to him in real life, as I've had the privilege to do many times, Phil is not a suit. He is not just there counting money for the Xbox division. He is a proper true gamer. He gets this industry. He gets what game playing is all about. And I really do believe in Phil Spencer. It's almost like a campaign slogan, but this is the right person to lead the Xbox. And I feel really good about where Xbox is going under his direction.
Thank you, Ryan. And actually, that clip was not only a smaller portion of a larger conversation, which you can check out later on IGN.com or our YouTube channel, but Ryan actually got to sit down with Phil again, and be on the lookout for that interview because that will be available sometime soon. Now, we're going to take a super, super, super quick break, so make sure you stick around. We have the Inside Xbox stream coming up very, very soon. That's 8 a.m. Pacific. And then right after this break, we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
See, I told you it was quick. I always keep my promises, I guess, if ad breaks count as promises. Anyways, you don't care about my rambling. But our very own Jonathan Dornbush got to sit down with the director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So why don't we take a look?
Assassin's Creed is always about exploring pivotal moments in history. Besides being one of the most asked for time periods, this is a moment that changed the face of Europe and England. So this time period, the invasion of England by this very large Viking horde, this gave birth to the England we know today. We know some of the key characters, we know about a lot of the big battles and the events, but there's so much intrigue, there's so much politics in the background, and at the heart of it is this warrior culture called Vikings that are quite intriguing in terms of their culture, their belief systems, their ways of operating during war, and what they actually tried to do in England, which is really intriguing. And finally, on a very personal level, when I was very young, I started reading about Vikings, and I fell in love with the idea of these people that we barely know anything about, and they've been a bit vilified. So to be able to have our take on that and to tell a really intriguing story within the Assassin's Creed world in this setting is really wonderful and exciting for us. Our hero, Eivor, this is a Viking raider who is also a leader within their community, and someone who very early in the experience of the game, they live in Norway, and they're going to leave Norway for the lush rolling hills of England due to political pressures, war, lack of space to grow. So players are going to feel kind of the beauty of Norway, but also the difficult life that people had during that time. And going to England, we settle England with the goal of settling our people and developing a thriving settlement. So the settlement is a big new aspect of the game, and it's at the heart of the motivation of this journey. We want you to feel that this is your home that you're building, that a lot of what you're doing in the game world is at the end of the day going to feed into the settlement so that it can grow, it can flourish. We have a ton of buildings that people can build. Each building comes with its own gameplay purpose. So there's a lot of effort that's gone into making sure that players can feel like this home that they're developing is really meaningful to them. It's meaningful to the journey that they're on. Lots of events and things happen based on how you decide to kind of grow this place. The Norse beliefs and the Norse mythology was a part of the culture. It was an everyday part of the culture and how they treated it. And this is the way we're approaching it. From a sense of, again, the grounded history of the Vikings and the Norse people. And we want to showcase that. We want to actually, again, teach something about that. Also, we're telling a personal story of Eivor. And so Eivor's perspective of the world, this is sort of what's hinted at in that trailer, sort of how Eivor will take a sign or see something and put their own spin on it.
Odin is with us!
The Norse people, their belief structures, the mythology itself was a part of the everyday life. So we're trying to take advantage of the hardware. Having significantly faster loading times effectively means that we're able to remove some of the friction with, let's say, that immersion that we're trying to go after. Again, we're trying to build the most immersive experiences we possibly can. So having extremely fast loading actually helps us out a lot with that. And at the end of the day, these worlds, the Dark Ages of England and Norway, these are breathtaking living worlds. And so to be able to push them to an incredible potential is wonderful for us. It's wonderful for our fans. They're going to get great games out of them. So we're quite excited for that. And I just want to say I'm saying these worlds, big kudos to our artists, our engineers, our technical directors. These people are really doing magic right now. So I'm really proud of the game world we're about to showcase to people.
How can you not be excited after that? So, Brandon, I want to go straight to you because I know that you are just beaming with Assassin's Creed Valhalla excitement. So, what are you hoping to see from AC during this stream?
What am I hoping to see? What am I hoping not to see? I mean, there's so much to go into with this game. I love the direction the Assassin's Creed franchise has gone. I reviewed Odyssey. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm looking forward to this big open living world with Vikings. I mean, it's Vikings. What's not to love, right? And this is the same team that created Origins that arguably set Assassin's Creed on this sort of open world path that it is now. So the know-how is there, the source material is there, and now moving into the next gen, it looks like the technology is going to be there as well. I'm really, Assassin's Creed, since moving to the open world, has really fallen into three different pillars, right? You've got three separate stories. You've got sort of the historical aspect of it. You've got the modern day aspect of it that tells that story. And then you've got that supernatural element of it as well. And we've seen that both in Origins and in Odyssey. And now in Valhalla, we're going to be able to dive into Norse mythology, whether that's, the things that are popular now thanks to the Marvel movies like Odin and Thor and Loki, or the Vikings TV show, or Vikings are just in the zeitgeist right now. So there's a lot to pull from. And that mythology is so crazy and wacky, with Fenrir and Jormungandr and all these other like larger than life characters and aspects. I really can't wait to see that. But what I'm really, really looking forward to is how this game leverages next-gen technology. We heard Ash there talking about, seamless loading or faster loading, helping with the immersion of it. What I'm really, really looking forward to is lighting and water tech and volumetric fog and all the sweet trappings that make a video game and make a video game atmosphere. And I can't wait to dive into that. We're sort of at this tipping point now where we're going to start seeing games. And so I'm really, really curious how games are going to leverage this new technology to innovate rather than just make things prettier and shinier with more textures and shadows. I want to see like how they can use that raw technology to innovate. And I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is in a really good position to actually, deliver on some of those hopes and promises.
Mm-hmm. Volumetric fog. That is quite specific. I hope that all of your dreams wishes get fulfilled during this stream.
I want some moody fog.
Brandon kind of touched on this at the end of his answer, but there is a ton of hardware and new tech in the Xbox Series X. How does AC best capitalize on all of this?
Yeah, so touching again on what Brandon said, I really want to see them go beyond just talking about faster load times, which obviously will do a lot for the game, especially because these games tend to be very big. I want to see like how else this new tech can impact the game. Like, is it like greater draw distance? Is it kind of that Breath of the Wild feeling, which granted didn't have the most insane tech, but of like, if you see it, you can go to it, but on a much larger scale. And like, how well does that perform? How well do we see a bunch of units going at it in like a field somewhere, then you're overlooking them and saying, hey, you want to pick off first? I really want to see what they can do to push this next gen tech in their games. And as Brandon said, like, this is really suited for that, because I feel like they're trying to, just even from that interview, like there seemed like they could be introducing some really interesting mechanics into this that weren't in previous Assassin's Creed games, and really push what they can do in this series. And I think specifically with a Viking setting, like that's not really where you think of assassins. And so I think maybe you could have like some really creative things there for the gameplay. And I really want to see them touch on that in this presentation.
Yeah, well, Assassin's Creed is confirmed to be in this presentation, so we're getting real close to that, but we're gonna take a super quick break. Remember how quick it was last time? It'll be just like that. So make sure you stick around, because the Inside Xbox stream is starting in like 10-ish minutes. We're getting dangerously close, and right after this break, we're gonna talk about what exactly we hope to see and what we expect to see in the Inside Xbox stream. So stick around.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
So quick! I'm sure it's slower than Xbox Series X load times. I don't know. I was trying to make some sort of joke with quick load times, whatever. Anyways, so let's jump into what we hope to see and what we expect to see in this coming stream. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. What are one or two titles that you are really hoping that we see?
Well, since we know this is a third-party showcase, sports games tend to be always something we all really look forward to around a console launch, even if you're not necessarily a sports fan, because you want to see, like, you know what football looks like, you know what soccer looks like, basketball on the Xbox One. What's it going to look like on the Series X, on the next generation? So I wonder if we might get a little bit of a teaser, a little sneak peek of NBA 2K21. That's always been a beautiful game. And then the other two that fall into that fall, that the timeline could match up, would be Madden from EA. Football is might be the next sport we actually see in real life, the way things are going right now. So everybody's probably going to want to be checking out Madden and see what that looks like on the new console. And FIFA too. FIFA, lest we forget, is like probably the biggest selling sports game on the planet. So the sports games are the ones where at the beginning of the generation, everyone's looking at them to see, well, how is the sports game going to look on the new console? It's a good barometer.
Yeah, dude, those sports games, every time I look at them, you can like see their sweat. It's very intense. I don't know if I was an athlete, if I'd want to get any better graphics wise, because next thing you know, you're going to be seeing like stuff in their teeth and gross things. Anyways, so Miranda, what games are you looking forward to and hoping to see in this Inside Xbox stream?
Actually, one of Ubisoft's games, Gods and Monsters. We haven't seen a lot of that, and I just am curious to see them dig into it just a little bit more. I don't know what Ubisoft's plans are for kind of deep diving into their games, since we don't have an E3 this year, and I feel like maybe partnering with Microsoft in one of these kind of Xbox 2020 streams could be a good platform for that. Also, selfishly, I would love to see a little bit of Cyberpunk. I know we've seen a lot of that, but I want more. I'm so sad that I got delayed, and I totally understand, but I am selfishly just hoping that we could get just a little tease, just a little something to show us something new. I know they have their own stream coming up later, but give me both.
Right. I'm kind of glad that we're getting those announcements, because I feel like it's really setting my expectations in terms of what I'm hoping to see in certain presentations. But BT, your turn. What are one or two titles that you were excited to see in this stream that's like in a few minutes?
You know, I mean, there's this little game called Assassin's Creed Valhalla I'm a little excited to see. Outside of that, I hate to jump on the bandwagon with Ryan and Miranda, but I want to see some Cyberpunk. And as a big football fan, I would love to see Madden. Sports games iterate annually, but you don't see the big jumps in them until you start looking at generation to generation. The other thing I want to say is along the same lines of those sports games, I really want to see a racing game. I don't personally play them all too often, but racing games are a really excellent barometer for tech. If you remember, the Forza series has a Forza at the beginning of every generation, and the market improvement from one to the other is like night and day. Racing games seem to be just the perfect way to show off beauty and visuals in a game. So I can't wait to see one of those. I'm also really curious to see if we're going to get more of that, Gollum, the Lord of the Rings Gollum game that we just got screenshots for. As a big Lord of the Rings fan, I would love to check that out. And really just whatever Warner Brothers is up to. There's too many games from third parties to really name them all off, but I'm waiting with excitement.
Yeah, we can tell you're excited because it's interesting that the 1 or 2 titles that I asked for resulted in you talking about like 8. Sorry, I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah. I feel like that doesn't read very well in like video chat. I just kind of come off as a jerk, but no, excited that you're excited. So we're getting so close to the Inside Xbox stream. We're minutes away, but Ryan, how much do you think we're going to hear about smart delivery in terms of these third-party games today? Do you think we're just going to see gameplay, or do you think we're going to start to hear about release dates regarding that?
That's likely to be a big focus. The official Xbox account tweeted out last night the optimized for Series X logo that they said, hey, you're going to be seeing this a lot, so get used to it. So these games we know that everything with Xbox is going to be cross-generational for at least a couple of years. So that optimized for Series X logo is going to be a big deal, and smart delivery is the engine that drives that. So it'll be really interesting to see exactly how those games take full advantage, which ones will do ray tracing, which ones will take advantage of the loading times, those kinds of things. Now, I know I can tease heading into this. If you've been watching, this is a little treat for those that have stuck with us for this half hour. I know at least one of these games, because it's our IGN first game for May. We're going to have a lot more exclusive content on it starting tomorrow. It's going to be revealed in this stream, and it is an Xbox exclusive. So for those that are like, where are the exclusives? Well, I know at least one of them is in this stream, and we'll have it on IGN afterwards.
I'm glad you brought up exclusives. So Miranda, how many of these third-party games do you think will actually be Xbox exclusives versus something like Assassin's Creed, which is coming to both PlayStation and Xbox?
That is hard to say. I would say probably just a handful of them. I know this is them trying to showcase things, but also I think Microsoft is trying to really make this smart play of giving a platform to all the kind of partners that they work with. And that may not necessarily mean exclusive. So while I do think there will be a few exclusives, I don't think it's going to be more. It's probably going to be less than half, I would assume.
Totally. It's not like they're going to be like, surprise, this whole stream is third-party exclusives. Except for, I wouldn't put it past, I'm not setting that expectation up by any means, but I wouldn't put it past them only because after that summer of E3, when they were like, we now have this studio and this studio and this studio, where it's like, whoa, what's happening? But so Brandon, this will probably be our last question, but games like Sims 5, Battlefield 6, EA announced their own EA Play Live, which I think is June 11th. How much do you think we're going to get even a tease of those kind of games that kind of have their own press conference set up for later this summer?
I think it's a pretty good shot, really. EA is one of the first major third-party publishers to come out with a plan in place for this summer. With the cancellation of E3, everyone's sort of scrambling to figure out what we're doing. Shout out to IGN Summer of Gaming. You can check that out. But, I think there's a really good shot that we're going to start seeing these third-party games come out because, third parties partner with first parties. That's just the way it works. So I would not be surprised to really, get a decent look at maybe some teasers of the first catalog.
I'm so sorry, Brandon, but the Inside Xbox stream is about to start. So we're going to switch over to that, but make sure you stick around because we're going to be live again to give our reactions and analysis. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron Greenberg from Team Xbox. I'm excited to be coming to you here live from my kitchen. I'm drinking nonstop drinks out of the world's fastest, most powerful fridge. We're moments away from a huge Inside Xbox. First, I want to let you know, a lot of people have been wondering, what are we doing this summer? Well, we're not taking the summer off. We're working hard. Teams cannot wait to deliver new games, new reveals, new news for you. So it's time to get hyped. You're going to see today the first ever Xbox Series X gameplay from our partners around the world. Damon Baker and Sarah Bond, who lead our partnership team, have brought some of the best developers and creative teams to the table. They're going to be joined by Jeff, Katarina, and Malik. Team Xbox coming in strong. It's an exciting day. We know fans have been waiting for this, but also we know you're wondering what's going on with Xbox Game Studios. You guys have 15 creative teams now around the world. You blew us away at XO19. You blew us away at the Game Awards with Hellblade 2. We know you've got more. Of course we do. And with that, I want to welcome the head of Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty, to tell us a little more.
Thanks, Aaron, and hi, everybody. I want to start by saying that our first concern is really with the safety of our teams and, of course, their families. And that's why they are all working from home right now, whether it's in Sweden, the UK, Canada, or the US. And I've really been impressed with the ingenuity and the creativity that they've shown to get around some of the challenges of working from home and to keep production moving forward on our great lineup of games. And so we're excited that we will begin unveiling gameplay from our studios starting in July, including some from our newer studios like Double Fine, Ninja Theory, and Obsidian.
Woo! Whoa. Matt, it feels like we might have left some off the list there.
Yeah, and Aaron, also 343 and Halo.
That's right. It's time to get hyped. Halo's coming. Halo Infinite. You've been waiting. The world's most anticipated game, July. Mark your calendars. Xbox Game Studios. We've got teams around the world that are working on big surprises, big reveals for you. I could not be more excited. I can tell you we're going to work every week between now and then to deliver for our fans. But today we're going to put the spotlight on our partners and let them shine and show you what Xbox Series X gameplay look like. Let's have a go.
What you just witnessed was Bright Memory Infinite from Playism, created from the ground up by a single individual at FYQD Studio in China. Developers are using the hardware to achieve their dreams and their nightmares in amazing ways, using the power to optimize their games the way they want. You know, higher resolutions, crazy frame rates, ray tracing, and yes, faster in-game load times. But it's also awesome to see the partner support for smart delivery, ensuring that fans only have to purchase the game once to enjoy it on whichever Xbox system they own or will own in the future. So, over the next 25 minutes, we're going to debut just a slice of the amazing next-gen games you can expect from our partners this holiday and early next year. And because we read the interwebs, everything you see here will highlight the in-game experience, with actual gameplay captured in-engine to give you the best sense of what to expect when Xbox Series X launches later this year. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the following dreams being powered by Xbox.
order out of chaos. Each trial, each tribulation we have overcome. Now we live in an age of unprecedented peace. We have prevailed thanks to her. Let her ascension serve as proof of our righteousness. It is in her honor that we strive for
ends with us.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for letting me crash the show. This is Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I hope all of y'all been staying home, staying safe, and playing a ton of video games together. But hey, I'm here because I have the privilege of telling you this. Madden 21 is coming to Xbox Series X, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's been a journey that's older than me, and I was lucky enough to be a part of it this year. Like they say, you have to know where you've been to know where you're about to go. There's loads of Madden 21 news coming soon, and the game isn't just about what you can see, it's about what you can feel. But here's the best news. When you buy Madden NFL 21 on Xbox One, you get it free on Xbox Series X. I'm looking forward to it, and honestly, I'm ready to just get back on the field. Enjoy the rest of the show, and get ready to feel next level with EA Sports.
Huge thanks to EA for giving us that sneak peek at Madden 21 optimized for Xbox Series X. I mean, that was awesome. So my name is Sarah Bond, and I lead partnerships for Xbox, which means I get to work with the thousands of developers and creators around the globe that are creating games on, with, and for Microsoft platforms. I just love my job because it's all about connecting creators and publishers with our fans around something that they love, games. And boy, have they been busy. They are creating right now games that are going to define the generation, experiences that are just going to blow your mind away. And I am thrilled to share with you that every major publisher worldwide is developing for Xbox. And we already have hundreds of games coming to Xbox Series X in 2021. The support, it has just been tremendous, guys. I have never seen partners as excited about Xbox and Xbox Series X as they are right now. So why don't we take a look and see more of the great games that they have been working on.
Shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for all the joy and pain. Picture show, second balcony was the place we'd meet. Second seat, go Dutch treat. You were sweet, darker shame, darling.
Let's show them how we do. Everyone grab a lid.
Bye-bye now. Yours and mine, that was fine. Darker shame, darling, darker shame. Thank you for seeing me again. We go
What have you done? I've traveled so very far to find you. How strange that your trail ends here. The very island of my dreams. When you left, I was withering away. But here, on this extraordinary isle, I dare say I've found my strength again. I'm scared of what it means. I feel the call of something deep within. Whispers of things long forgotten. Will we be forgotten too? What did you find here, Harry?
This is, or was, the Ascent Group main metropolis. Like you, most people have contracted their entire lives away to get here. Workers or indents, slaves in all but name.
The Ascent Group arcology on Velas has shut down. If the latter is true, the corporate grab teams will already be moving in. This is a crisis supernova. The Ascent Group has collapsed. We have a shot at true independence. I won't let it go to waste.
We wish to test your abilities by giving you a special assignment. Find out what happened.
Work together on this one. Let's get it done!
Hi, hope you enjoyed the reveal of The Medium, our next-gen psychological horror game. We're very excited to announce that we're working on the project in cooperation with Akira Yamaoka, the legendary composer best known for the Silent Hill series. We'll have more to reveal soon, so stay tuned.
I'm Yuito Sumeragi. My power is psychokinesis. Ready? Go!
てめえもヤクザの端くれならいじめのつけ方ぐらい知ってんだろ。今ジョーがショップがれるわけにはいかねえ。勤めに行ってもらえねえかイチ。喜んでやらせてもらいます。お前だけは裏切らねえな。お前の姿がある日を待ってる。あれあおやっさんすまねえなイチ。死んでくれ。しかしお前は人を怒らせる天才だな。
こんにちは、セガの名越俊弘です。いよいよこの発表ができる日が、参りました。シリーズの最新作であるヤクザライクアドラゴンを、Xbox シリーズ X のローンチタイトルとして、そして Xbox One や、Windows 10で、発売する運びとなりました。全世界のファンはもちろんですね、初めて、このタイトルを手にする方にも、楽しんでいただきたいなというふうに考えております。ゲームの限界に挑戦する龍が如くスタジオの新たなる挑戦を、ぜひ見届けていただきたいなというふうに考えております。ヤクザライクアドラゴンをぜひよろしくお願いします。
I hope you all enjoyed this brief peek at just some of the titles we have lined up for Xbox Series X. This is just the beginning. And personally, I can't wait to get immersed in these amazing games. But until then, I'm just going to have to live out that fantasy via custom backgrounds in Microsoft Teams. How about I try out a few now? Maybe we'll go into the world of Scarlet Nexus, or maybe I could tear up the streets in Dirt 5, or, well, here's a quick view of Phil Spencer's home office. Oh, wait a second. We've got this inside look at the next Assassin's Creed game. So with that, I'm going to leave you with the gameplay debut of the highly anticipated Assassin's Creed Valhalla for Xbox Series X. Huge thanks to all of our partners for their hard work during these difficult times, and to you at home for joining us. Stay tuned to go behind the scenes with a few of the creators of today's lineup and hear more about their thoughts on the next generation of game development. I'll see you later this summer for even more content premieres and announcements from Xbox Game Studios and our partners worldwide. Thanks so much.
Titles command the respect and fandom that the Assassin's Creed series has garnered, and today we get to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla with its creative director, Ashraf Ismail, who's joining us from Montreal, Canada. Bienvenue to Inside Xbox.
Hey, Jeff. Pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here because I'm a huge fan of the series. After seeing the video that we just saw, I have literally hundreds of questions to ask you. But before we get into Valhalla itself, did I just see new Assassin's Creed gameplay for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. That was directly from the game in all its Viking Age glory.
Let's talk about the Viking Age because Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, these took place in antiquity. They were sun-drenched Mediterranean places, and this looks very different. It's different time, different place. So what do you have for us with the Viking Age?
Yeah, so the Viking Age, it's named after one of history's most notorious warrior cultures. And this time period is highlighted by the invasion of England by this very large, hungry Viking horde. And at the time, England was a dark age tangle of broken warring kingdoms. So this was an absolutely brutal, pivotal moment in history that gave us the birth of the England we know today. So players can expect to fully live the Viking fantasy in a meticulously crafted journey in an Assassin's Creed world.
All right, so let's get a little bit more into this. There was a lot to take in that clip that we saw. I saw Viking longships. I saw some very mean-looking axes. Previously, we saw a hidden blade. So let's talk about some of the key new features that you're bringing to the table with Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, so our hero, Eivor, is a Viking raider who's going to leave the snowy mountains of Norway for the lush rolling hills of England, propelled by the goal of settling their people and growing a thriving settlement. Now, England at this time is a hostile place. So to succeed, players will go raiding using their longships and raiding party. They'll assault giant fortifications in epic battles. They'll have to gain alliances with kings and legendary Vikings, and they'll be faced with some very harsh choices as the leader of a community. Along with that, where we've reinvented combat to be visceral, brutal, tons of enemy variety, dual-wielding weapons. We have a new, fresh take on player progression, gear, and weapon systems. We're effectively pushing every single envelope to deliver this incredible Viking fantasy.
All of this is just music to my ears. Thank you so much. So this whole show, we've been talking about the Xbox Series X. We're talking about next gen. So as a creative director, as someone creating a huge epic game, how do you take advantage of this new hardware?
Well, Assassin's Creed has always been committed to new technologies in order to push the most immersive experiences we possibly can. And so to have something like incredibly fast loading times means that we can remove some of that friction from the immersion and create a game that's much more immersive. Norway and Dark Ages England are breathtaking living worlds. So to be able to push them further to their incredible potential, this is really wonderful for us. It's wonderful for our players. And additionally, I'm very happy to confirm that we are also offering smart delivery, which allows you to purchase the game once and play it on your Xbox One and the Xbox Series X.
That is great news, I think, for all the Assassins fans out there. They'll be able to enjoy it on the hardware they have now, maybe on the hardware that they are looking forward to getting later this year. Thank you so much, Ashraf Ismail, for joining us and for sharing the very first details on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I cannot wait to see more.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
We have seen so many great games today showcasing gameplay for Xbox Series X. So let's go to Malik right now with Robert Karp from Codemasters to talk Dirt 5.
All right, everyone, just a few minutes ago, you saw the reveal trailer of Dirt 5, and I kind of was left speechless, but I'm going to have to get it together here because we're going to dive even deeper into everything. Right now, we have Robert Karp, who is Dirt 5's development director, in the driver's seat to talk about what's next for the series. Robert, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Malik?
I'm doing great. Excited to dive into this. Now, Dirt 5, obviously the newest game in the series. Let's start with locations because kind of the backdrop is kind of important for a racing game. So where are we going to be going in Dirt 5?
So you saw from the trailer, we had New York, then we went to China, and then we went to Norway. We've got lots more environments than that. Each of the environments are bespokely created based on real worlds for the tracks and the event types that we play in there. So for New York, for example, you saw us racing over the East River when it was frozen in winter, but you can play in New York in the summer and spring and autumn. There you'll be able to race along Roosevelt Island on a couple of different tracks that gives you a totally different experience. After that, we go to Brazil, we take in the favelas and Christ the Redeemer. We have tracks in Europe, in Italy, in Arizona. So there's really a really wide range of tracks with a really colourful and wide different colour palette that offer really interesting different experiences.
Super cool. I'm excited to see all the different locations as well as how the weather's going to change. I'm personally a New York boy, so I'm excited to race in New York. But it is a racing game after all, so let's talk about some of the cars that we're going to be able to jump into.
We have one of the widest ranges of vehicles that we've had in a dirt game ever before. So you've got the rally cars that you saw some buggies in China. We also have sprint cars, which are really cool and interesting. They go around ovals, they only turn left. Each of their wheels is like a different size, with the front one at the left the smallest, the back one at the right the biggest. They've got 900 horsepower, and you just basically drift all the way around the oval, kicking up big plumes of smoke, which is really fun.
Oh, that's super cool. Of course, everyone's going to be excited for more, right? More cars, more different types of vehicles. That's pretty cool. Now let's talk about the experience when the players jump into the game. What are some things that veteran Dirt franchise players are going to notice, and what are some things that they're going to notice for the first time ever?
So I think jumping into the career, they're going to notice the kind of agency or the choice of the different events. But some of the new things that are due to the franchise, and one of the ones I'm most excited about, is 4-player split screen. So in career or in arcade mode, where you can pick your event type and your vehicle type and your time of day, how quickly the time changes and what the weather's going to change. You can play that with your friends. So on launch day, when you get your Xbox Series X home, you boot it up, you invite a few friends over, you can all race together.
That's super exciting. 4-player split screen, something that we always want to see, because it's always good to have your friends around and play some games on the couch. So that's pretty cool. Now let's shift gears a bit into the career mode. Obviously, the Dirt franchise is known for the career mode and taking you through a bunch of different races. Can you talk a bit about the story there? And I hear Little Birdie has told me that there's a very dynamic duo in the voiceover booth. Let's talk about that as well.
There is a dynamic duo. So one of the things that I really enjoy about the career is the real world sponsors. So as you race, you'll sign up to real world sponsors who'll give you rewards and pay you to race for them. And talking you through that will be your mentor. He'll help guide you, give you tips and hints, and that's voiced by Troy Baker.
Greetings from the booth, everybody.
And there's really only one person to have as the protagonist to Troy Baker, who's the nemesis, and that's Nolan North.
Thrilled to be working with Codemasters on this, playing a very pivotal character, per usual. Also, you're going to see some pretty recognizable faces in this game, so you don't want to miss it.
So as you race, you'll have to beat him if you want to win the career.
That's super exciting because one, I'm excited to jump into the career, but two, I feel like a lot of players are going to be happy about having both Troy Baker and Nolan North in the same video game. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Now, again, we're super happy that Dirt 5 is part of the reveal of the first gameplay for Xbox Series X. So let's talk about some of the things that we're going to see that are specific to Xbox Series X.
So Dirt 5, you'll be able to play at 4K at 60 FPS, but there'll also be an option for 120 Hz mode. So, gamers know frame rate counts. 120 Hz in racing, that's where the action's at. On top of that, Dirt 5 will leverage the smart delivery technology. So you buy the game on Xbox One, you can play it on Xbox Series X as soon as you get the new console. You buy it on Xbox Series X and you go over, you have an Xbox One in your house or in another room and you want to play in there, you can play Xbox One, so you'll always be playing the best version. And lastly is the fast loading. So that means that you get into the game almost instantaneously from turning on the console. No more waiting. You're in there, you're racing straight away.
I love everything that you just said there. You buy the game, you get the best version for the platform that you own. You get in the game, loading times are a thing that everyone hates, so minimizing that is fantastic. And then you get to choose between 4K 60 and 120 frames per second. So that is pretty cool. Again, Robert, thank you so much for stopping by. I got to say that I probably speak for everyone watching when I say that we're super excited to see Dirt 5 on Xbox Series X coming up this year. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we've already seen so many games so far, but the train's going to keep rolling, so we're going to throw it over to Katarina, who's with the Bluebird team, to talk about Medium.
Horror games are a fan favorite, and the Medium promises to keep us guessing and our hearts racing. Here to tell us more about the game is Jack, game producer from the Bluebird team. Thank you so much for joining us, Jack.
Hi, hello.
Can you tell us more about this game and the Bluebird team approach to the psychological horror genre?
In our first psychological horror that was Layers of Fear, the main topic was what can you sacrifice for your family? Can you sacrifice yourself, or you want to sacrifice yourself for your passion, to fulfill yourself? The second our game, it was Observer, and then the main topic, it was if I'm still human, if my mind maybe is digitalized, or if I have robotic parts, where is the line, like in the body horror stuff. And in the Blair Witch, of course there was a witch, there was the forest that everyone loves, but in the main topic, in the psychological horror stuff, it was PTSD. So for the medium, we have like two worlds in our game, real world and spirit world. We play as a medium that can see these both realities, so we can think like somebody can be a really good guy, but maybe inside it's not. And when you play as a medium, you have a really unique perspective to find out what is inside of other people and or what happens in different places.
For the medium, we heard that you teamed up with legendary music composer Akira Yamaoka. Can you tell us more about that partnership and how that influenced the game?
Yeah, he's the best now, of course, for composing the music for Silent Hill series. And what was most important for us, it was his work on Silent Hill 2, because Silent Hill 2, for most of our team is the best horror game ever, and it's one of our main references when we think about atmosphere in the medium, because in one way his music is heavy, disturbing, oppressive, and in another way it can be nostalgic, emotional, and melodic. And to bump it up more, we cooperate Akira with our composer Arkadiusz Rejkowski that create our other scores for our other games, and mix these two approaches together to fill up our two worlds and our different points of view. So it was really great fun.
This game is really characterized by those two worlds. Can you talk to us more about the story and these two worlds and how the players can look forward to that?
Yeah, so you play as a Marianne, and she's a medium, and she can cope with this, that she goes, or that she can see the spirit world, the second world, but she's haunted by really one specific vision that she tried to solve. And she has some kind of a hint that the answers can be in abandoned communist vacation resort. It's like an old hotel. So she go there, and then she need to, find out how the vision is connected with this place and what dark mystery is there. And there two worlds came up because our real world and our real world setting it's Poland, late 80s, Krakow. Krakow is a very important city for Poland history. It was a city of kings. And it's, of course, city of Blueberry. We have company here, we live here, we love the city. And, it's a free Poland in that time. But because in the 80s and before, we lived under the regime, communist regime, and there was no free of speech. Everything was censored. And when you play as a medium, you have this unique opportunity to see even further the normal people, because you see the spirit world. And spirit world is like dark mirror of our world, when all your anger, urges, secrets are reflected there. So it's also hostile world in some way, so only medium can solve some puzzles, some mysteries, and survive that kind of encounter.
Horror is really a genre that can really take advantage of some very immersive gameplay. What are some of the Xbox Series X features that the Bluebird team has harnessed to make sure that you can deliver this epic next-gen title with the medium?
Yeah, of course, first of all, it's the horsepower is the hardware. So having that powerful stuff as a foundation for our game, it's awesome, because we spent a lot of years to thinking about this game, how we can fulfill our dreams about it, but we have a problem with the platform. Everything we thought it's too weak to fulfill our vision. But then Xbox Series X came up, and we thought, yeah, this is perfect match for us. And now a lot of doors were open for us to be creative and do the game as we wanted. And the second most important stuff is the seamless gameplay, steady FPS and no loading screens, because you have immersive horror cinematic experience, and you have two worlds. You can travel between them. You can travel between the levels and the whole story, and not having any loading screens and any FPS drops. It's awesome. And of course we use Xbox Series X in different ways. In many different ways, but I will leave this maybe more for the future, so stay tuned, guys.
Ooh, mysterious. I think I speak for all the fans when I say that I'm super excited to play the medium when it launches on the Xbox Series X. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jack.
Also, thank you very much.
I want to give a special thank you to all of our developers from around the world who pulled out all the stops to share this first look at Xbox Series X gameplay with all of you today. It's also great to see how many developers are taking advantage and leveraging things like smart delivery, really putting our fans first. And of course, we're doing that with all of our Xbox Game Studios titles. And as I said, we're not taking the summer off. Today is just the beginning. It's time to get hyped, because in July, it's Xbox Game Studios. World premieres, reveals, lots of news. Mark your calendars. We'll see you then.
Presented by the Army National Guard, our hometown heroes who are on the front line, keeping our communities safe throughout COVID-19, natural disaster recovery, and more. To learn more, check out nationalguard.com/hometown.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Unlock Live for Inside Xbox. I'm your host, Sydney Goodman. We're coming at you from home. No cats yet. They went to go get fed. But I mean, what a conference we got, or stream, but we got our first look at real Xbox Series X gameplay. And let's continue the hype by getting into discussion. But first, IGN Summer of Gaming is going to continue coverage just like this. We're going to have dev interviews, we're going to have demos, and we're going to have more next-gen console coverage. So make sure you tune in on IGN.com, anywhere you like to watch IGN, including IGN One on your Samsung TV Plus. But let's dive in. I've got the Unlocked crew with me, Ryan McCaffrey, Miranda Sanchez, and Brandon Tyrell. Hello, everyone, again.
Hello.
Oh,
again.
We're back. We're back. Okay, so I want to get into this, or go through this relatively quickly in terms of, give me your first impressions, like 1 or 2 words. How are you feeling? Let's start with Ryan.
Sure. My favorite thing about this, I was very surprised that it was almost entirely games that we'd never seen before. So I really like that aspect of it. The Vampire we'd seen before. I mean, Assassin's Creed we were prepared to see, and then Madden comes out every year. But really, outside of that, it was entirely new games, and that's been a big thing with Xbox. It's just like, where are the new games? Where are the games? Period. So here's a bunch of new games. That made me really happy to see.
All right, so Miranda, we got glimpses of real gameplay. Did you feel like it delivered?
I feel like we haven't seen enough to really be super wowed by it. I think some of the particle effects, some of the lighting, some of it was really nice, but I think we just need more. A lot of these trailers were very short and very cinematic, and sometimes it was hard to tell what was really supposed to be that really exciting gameplay we're looking for. So I'm a little mixed on it, but I think it was a good start.
A good start is much better than a bad start. Obviously. Wow. Anyways, BT. So they mentioned,
Yes.
or you mentioned in the pre-show that you want to see racing games, you want to see Madden. Do you feel like what they showed kind of whet your appetite?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it was a good first offering. With regard to the racing, Madden felt very much more like kind of a promotional video. As a diehard 49ers fan, tough to see Patrick Mahomes on there, obviously. But we're excited. It seems like the next iteration of Madden is really leaning into, the hype of next gen, which is, I think, something that is important for, annualized sports titles. I really love that they went back to, simple beginnings. They did that cool little history. Wish we would have seen more gameplay and maybe, seen some of it in action. With regard to the racing stuff, we did see Dirt 5, obviously. That has always been sort of a staple of the racing community. I am going to be looking forward to seeing, that game in action as well. A lot of the gameplay that we saw so far seemed like, it was simulated Xbox Series X specs. It was, running in engine, as you saw multiple times throughout the showcase. But until we see the game with the HUD and it's being controlled, it's hard to really make heads or tails of what it is we're looking at or how beautiful it actually could be.
Totally. And that's interesting that you mentioned the HUD and seeing I'm in it, this is what I will see when I'm playing a game, only because if you think about, they're having Xbox 2020s monthly up until holiday, which, November, December. And when are we going to see that and jump in? Will we see Dirt 5 game, in-game gameplay? And when is that going to happen? Because I know we have a long period of time, but we're creeping up to launch. Ryan, what do you think about that?
It's always tough. I'm like the barnacle on the side of the IGN games media business. This is my 3rd Xbox console launch, so I've seen a lot of these.
I like that.
But really, what happens is that you got the in development hardware. It's always a weird moving target in a console launch year. So I'm not super surprised that we didn't see a lot of real gameplay with heads-up displays and proper gameplay elements that's kind of common for console launches. Is it still like a little bit of a bummer? Yeah, I mean, you'd think this time maybe it could have been a little easier since everything's kind of PC and it's all nebulous anyway, as far as the console generation, the blurring of the lines goes. But yeah, I mean, these games are still a little on the early side. You got to cut the developers a little bit of slack, especially, they're all working from home now. Everything's a lot trickier. So I'm happy with what we got. Of course, you always want to see more. But yeah, that we got like 2 seconds of Patrick Mahomes on Series X. And it's like, well, okay, he looks pretty good. But that was, if you were hoping for more, that was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow.
Well, the good thing is at least EA showed us their little promotional video now. So hopefully they have nothing to hide behind when it comes to June 11th when they do their own EA Play Live. But Miranda, so we have a confirmed launch title. I believe it was the only one that they announced during this briefing. Yakuza, do you want to talk to us about that? And the fact that they only announced one launch title? Sorry to jump over you.
No. Yeah, I think they're still keeping a lot of their launch titles close to the chest. I think as far as surprises go, Microsoft was a little bit more strategic and like, okay, let's like kind of keep the bigger, newer things toward the end, and like wow with their first trailer, but then kind of build up to everything and ending with Assassin's Creed. I think that's kind of why we saw Yakuza's placement toward the end as well. It's really exciting to finally start getting that little launch lineup going. Like we just don't have a lot for launch yet. We just know we're gonna get Halo. And now we're going to get Yakuza. And it's like a really great mix of games too. Like they're very, very, very different. So I was actually really excited to see that they do have at least something for launch. And while I think we are craving that launch lineup, I don't think this is the place that they were going to give the whole thing. Obviously, it gets May. They have their big build up to their bigger games later. And this is just the start of that. And so I think giving us at least one thing that is coming at launch and a very exciting thing at launch was a really great start to that, to building up that list. And so I was really happy to see this. This is a thing I think we're going to talk about a lot later in the show too.
I appreciate your self-control. You're making my job a lot easier. But so BT, let's move on to Assassin's Creed. You were hyped during our pre-show. Yeah. How did you feel about what they showed and that interview that they had during the Inside Xbox stream?
Interview is great. I think anytime you can hear Ash talk about the craft and his team and how they're building it, there's always something to learn there. What I really love is you hear about Vikings and you think bloodthirsty, warrior tribe, but like we saw with Origins, there's a lot of like soulful character development, family, so there's more than just like the action of it. From what we saw, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed by what we saw, not in the content itself, but just how much of it. A lot of what we saw really did kind of look like, I don't know if it was cutscenes. Clearly it was either running in engine or simulated in engine, but we saw a lot of cool things. There's a bunch of really awesome like religious overtones with the tree and I got my fog. I don't know if you saw it, but I got my fog. The lighting was really cool, Stonehenge, and that was really juxtaposed against the iconography of Christianity and the crosses. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of that coming into play. We did see a battering ram hit a door at one point. That looked like a cinematic. I'm not sure if that means siege gameplay. Sid, I guess what it all boils down to is I really wish we would have seen in like actual gameplay, right? Someone playing the game rather than a lot of really admittedly cool cutscene-esque looking things. There's a lot to dig into and a lot to like. I just want to see what this game is. I want to see it running.
For sure. Definitely looking for more. Totally get that. And actually, speaking of which, Ryan, I know that you kind of had some thoughts about overpromising, possibly under-delivering. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, we were talking about it during the stream. And yeah, I thought I have no doubt that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to look great. But for being billed as, the gameplay reveal, no, this was overhyped to hell and back. This was a super disappointing reveal. For what they had suggested. But it would have been probably more fair to call it, a first glimpse at this game. So again, I'm sure it's going to look great. I'm sure they're just knee deep in development. They're all there's hundreds of developers on any, if not thousands, on any Assassin's Creed game with the 10 support studios plus the main Ubisoft Montreal studio. So I totally get that, but for this being billed as the gameplay reveal of Assassin's Creed Valhalla was I thought it was a pretty big letdown in that regard.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up all the studios. So when prepping for this, short story, everyone, I Wikipedia'd Ubisoft because I wanted to see how many studios they have. And there are so many locations. It was like a full page long. So you can look up yourself after the stream. Do not leave because we are going to a super quick commercial break. I bet you can't guess what the ad's for. It might be Summer of Gaming. I don't know, but tune in because afterwards we will be talking about our first look at an IGN first title. And later on, we'll be going through our favorite games that were shown in this Inside Xbox stream.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
Surprise! And I was right. It was a Summer of Gaming trailer. Haha. Anyways, okay, we got our first look at the Ascent. Now, Ryan, I know that you wanted to talk about it as our IGN first title. Let's hear it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the chance to shamelessly self-promote here. So IGN First, if you're not familiar, that's kind of it's like our version of a magazine, an old school magazine cover story where we're spotlighting one game every month. In February, it was Doom Eternal. In March, it was Half-Life Alyx. In April, sadly, the pandemic caused our plans to fall through. But for May, I've been talking to the publisher Curve Digital for quite some time. And we're looking forward to showing you a lot more of the Ascent, which this one speaks to me. And I know, Brandon Tyrell, this is your kind of game too, because it's basically, I think the Twitter version of this would be, it looks like Judge Dredd meets Diablo. So it's a co-op action RPG, a little bit of a cyberpunky kind of sci-fi aesthetic, as you can see here in the trailer that's running. And yeah, it's I'm really eager to dig into this. So you're looking at the trailer now. Tomorrow on IGN.com, we will have the first extended gameplay of this game. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys and learning more about this one. So this, I can tell you too, this, I don't think it was mentioned on the stream, weirdly, because you would think Microsoft would have wanted to say this, pardon me if I just missed it, maybe in the end while I was taking notes, but this is an exclusive. This is Xbox and PC. So Series X, PC, Xbox One, Xbox One X, and we'll have plenty more of it throughout the month of May on IGN.
Well, there you have it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, Miranda, we talked about Yakuza being the first launch title. I suddenly forgot what it was like when the Xbox One launched. How many launch titles should we expect? I know we saw a lot of coming 2021, holiday 2020. My thing is, if you're saying holiday 2020, like, why wouldn't you just say launch title? Can you kind of dive into that?
I feel like maybe the holiday 2020 right now is set because they can't necessarily say when launches, but I guess maybe some are like not keen on saying launch title. So that's the thing too, is like, we don't know. Some of these could be launch titles. But also I think it's smart for some of these to be peppered out throughout holiday 2020 rather than everything at launch, because if everything's just at launch, it's going to get buried by Halo. Let's be real. And like other games too, right? I'm sure Microsoft does have its own slate ready. And you can't just oversaturate that launch. And so having a better cadence of games coming out is always healthier, because then, let's be real, how many games can we play at once? So I think having that cadence is a lot smarter. So we do have things to plan for like early 2021. That's great.
I like your optimism. I also like your realism when it comes to realizing that I'm pretty much only going to be playing Halo once that comes out. But Brandon, so again, this might be Sydney ignorance question, but they were talking about all games being optimized for Series X. Now, is that synonymous with smart delivery? Can you explain the differences and the similarities, if there are any?
Sure. Yeah, no, they're two different things. So smart delivery means when you purchase it for one console, you'll get it on the other console, essentially. And what that is mitigating the cross-generational difference between the two consoles. We see it every generation, the 360 to the Xbox One. you get a lot of titles, especially from third parties and major publishers. They don't want to corner themselves off to one console or the other. So you're going to get a SKU of the game for Xbox One, and then you're going to get a SKU for the game for Xbox Series X and maybe Lockhart if and when that's announced. What the Xbox Series X optimized means, it means like without doing anything, what that badge means is that it's going to be optimized and look better for the Xbox Series X. Having said that, we already know that just the hardware itself on the Xbox Series X is going to make everything look better. But the optimized badge means a little bit of extra love and attention has gone into it, you could say.
And for Brandon's Madden specifically, I thought the smart delivery there was really interesting, just in the sense of whereas Assassin's Creed has smart delivery, Assassin's Creed's probably going to come out on the same day for everything, or maybe if it's out like a week or two before the console launches, a slight difference. But Madden typically comes out, Brandon, at the end of July now. So that means if you buy this year's game on the Xbox One, you've already got a Series X launch title for the whenever October, November, whenever the console launches. So you could possibly be buying your first. Not possibly. You can buy your first Series X game in July this year with Madden.
Yeah, and that's what's really awesome about awesome about Microsoft's move in this approach, right? Is they're now supporting multiple generations of consoles, multiple consoles per generation, and also the PC platform, right? And now smart delivery might not carry over to PC, but Microsoft is now a multi-platform first party and a multi-console first party. So there's a lot to support. And just instead of saying like, okay, well, we'll drop the price for this version or that version, now it's just buy it once and you just have it, play it wherever you want. I think it's super smart and an awesome consumer practice.
Yeah, there was also just like a lot of really great messaging. It's like, well, whenever you're ready to upgrade, we don't want you to have to restart everything you've done. And so this is also them saying, we know not everyone's going to buy at launch. Like not everyone feasibly always can. However, whenever you are ready to upgrade, you can take all of these games with you. And so far they have 13 games, which is pretty nice to have that signed on. At this point, I hope that's a lot more.
Say you start Madden on your Xbox One, you get the smart delivery when you upgrade. Does your progress also carry over? Is that part of the smart delivery promise?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, most of that information is going to be on servers. Good. So you'll be able to just log in from wherever, just like a game as a service game, right? If you log in, play Fortnite on one machine, and then log in and play Fortnite on a different machine, your character is still there, so it should be fun.
Now, biggest surprise. We saw a good number of titles. I know they're varying across genres. Let's start with you, Ryan. What was your biggest surprise during the stream?
This is cool. I feel like I'm on CNN. I just got my little vertical thing and I'm being called on to talk. No, this is great. I have to say, as much as I talked at the top of the show about how great it was that most of these games were games we'd never seen before, for me, the most pleasant surprise, since I won't take the thunder of someone else who I know is going to say this other one, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is a game that we've known about for quite a while now. But I'll tell you, that trailer really got my attention. I hadn't really been super paying attention to that game so far, but it kind of gave off a little bit of a We Happy Few kind of vibe, plus obviously vampires. So yeah, I'm now a lot more interested in what's going on with Vampire Bloodlines 2. So sign me up for that one. I thought that was that's my biggest surprise at this event.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm watching What We Do in the Shadows right now, which is a very different kind of vampire. They're friendly and don't do that to people. So I was definitely a little surprised that to be reminded that vampires can be kind of creepy and, in my opinion, mean. But Miranda, what was your biggest surprise of the stream?
I'm gonna have to go with Call of the Sea. It seems like a neat one. I really like adventure games and just having that puzzle aspect, that mystery. It's like 1930s and just like an island in the middle of nowhere. It's really stylized. I feel like we could get some good music out of this. So that was kind of my biggest surprise of the third parties that I wasn't really anticipating. And I feel like it's somewhat rare for us to get really neat adventure games. And those are also my favorite kind of games to do guides for because they can get kind of complex in a very direct sort of way. And I love like racing other people in the office to beat them and being as thorough as possible. So this is like very much up my alley. And I think just like the setting's really cool. The colors are really cool. I mean, this trailer, it just got a really interesting style. And I definitely want to see more of it later.
Yeah, Miranda, that one kind of reminded me of a cross between Rime, The Witness, and maybe a little Firewatch, because it's described here. I have a cheat sheet. A first-person adventure puzzle game set in the 1930s, as you noted, that tells the story of Nora, a woman on the trail of her missing husband's expedition. It takes place on a beautiful island in the South Pacific. So, yeah, I'm with you. That one spoke to me as well.
Yeah, and it was a nice tonal shift in terms of a lot of the games felt a little bit darker, and it was nice to see some bright colors and not be cowering in fear. BT, you know the question that's coming at you. What was your most surprising game?
Yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think that you and I are kind of on the same page as far as surprises go. And my personal pick is going to be Scorn.
Please don't make us watch that again.
Can we just take a minute and digest what we saw? What's funny, nice. Scorn has been around for almost the better part of a decade. Like it was announced in 2014, right? Like it has been in development a long time. Always touted as this H.R. Giger experience, right? With a really, really iconic art style, same art style that drove the look of the Alien and the Aliens franchise. It is a first-person shooter, or it was the last time we saw it. And it's got this really interesting mix of like sci-fi, horror, body horror, kind of heavy metal with, it's so alien that it's unsettling. You see the little dude in the armor trying to get out. You see the weird dull eyes behind this sort of membrane on people, bodies hanging from the ceiling. There's just a lot to digest, no pun intended. And this is really sort of interesting to me because, we've been talking on Unlocked for months and months and maybe almost a year now about how Microsoft makes games that really don't get made anywhere else, like Sea of Thieves. Just try to avert your eyes, Miranda. But they don't really capitalize on those really sort of mature elements, the mature games that sort of the core audience is really excited about and can jump on board. Scorn seems like a reaction of a different kind. They are definitely. I'm really, really glad that A, this game got picked up because I think it's doing something interesting, and B, that Microsoft did it. And it is coming to Xbox Game Pass at launch. Now, I don't know if that means game launch or Xbox Series X launch. I imagine the former. But it looks like anybody who owns Xbox Game Pass, which is secretly the best deal in gaming, is going to get to subject themselves to this. And something about that just kind of makes me happy.
Oh, good. I felt like I was watching the conference, and then all of a sudden it was like, bam! Throw up your breakfast. It was like, the thing that kind of was like multiple layers of like extruding was just, it was a lot. So that was definitely my most surprising moment. Sorry, go ahead, Miranda.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't normally mind gross things, but you and Mason were like, what is this? Why is it this early? What is
I think it was the earliest because I agree. I sometimes can stomach gross. Like I don't love subjecting myself to horror, but I can stomach gross. But there was something about it that just felt like they were like body and there was a lot happening. I did not realize
that weird uncanny valley where it's horror, but it's also human-esque, right? It's just close enough to what we recognize, but alien enough to make you really uncomfortable. So
yes, indeed, it is an atmospheric first-person horror adventure game set in a nightmarish universe of odd forms and somber tapestry. So, yeah, first person just to maximize the grossness for you, Miranda.
So despite me hating this trailer, not because it was bad, just because it was really weird and kind of gross, I actually wish we could have seen gameplay because I had no sense of what was happening other than like, we're going to gross you out. That's what we're doing here. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you did it. You did it.
Well, here's a fun note.
They definitely succeeded. We're actually going to jump to a super, super, super quick break while we all kind of readjust ourselves from talking about Scorn. So we'll be back after the break talking about our best of show from the stream and kind of looking ahead at what to expect from future Xbox 2020 streams based on what we saw today.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
I'm back! Did you miss me? I was only gone for 15 seconds, don't worry. So we talked about Scorn, we talked about our surprising moments. Let's talk about our favorite moments. I'll start with you, Ryan.
Well, shout out to Aaron Greenberg, who's a good friend of this podcast, and his Series X fridge background. I love that he leaned into it. That was so good. That was a great way to kick off the stream and just have that, this is clearly not a buttoned up suit and tie kind of stage affair where video games are going to be super serious. He had the fridge behind him. That was so good. I also want to give a shout out, though, to a game I thought we were going to bring up earlier, but since we didn't get there. But the first game we saw, I think, if memory serves, Bright Memory Infinite was the game developed by one person. First of all, that alone, can we just recognize how insane and difficult that is? There's another game that Brandon and I specifically are looking forward to for Xbox called Tunic. That's another one-person effort, and I just don't see anybody... Making video games is hard enough. Doing it by yourself, I can't even possibly imagine what goes into that. Particularly this. Look at this. I mean, there's first-person shooter elements. Then it gets to the driving element. It looks pretty cool as far visually speaking. It's got its own definitive aesthetic. I gotta say the car he jumps into looks kind of like a DeLorean, which always makes me happy as somebody who owned one of those for a while. But yeah, I mean. Greenberg's fridge, but yeah, Bright Memory Infinite as, again, a game we'd never seen before and something that just looks decidedly like it. This is clearly one person's vision, right? This idea is not being noted to death by anyone. This is one person's vision and it looks really interesting. I can't wait to see more of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to dive deeper into that. But Miranda, what was your favorite moment of the show? The moment that just made you feel all the feels?
So this is actually kind of personal, but I really like that Madden reel. One of my first gaming memories was like sitting in my dad's lap while he was playing Madden, and me and my twin sister would try to grab his controller. So eventually they just bought us controllers to play with. So seeing old Madden like really has a place in my heart. Just like, oh, I miss my dad. And so that was like a really nice thing. I always love those reels whenever developers bring them back. It's like, look how far we've come with games. Like, it's just so impressive to look at all the pixels and how fun it was. And we all cherish those memories and to how much we've really grown into these super complex games that just look gorgeous. So I really loved that. And I will always love any sort of memory reels of like really old storied games. And then also us being grossed up by Scorn because you got to have all the emotions in one stream.
It was a good bonding moment for sure. The collective from that. Yeah, I have to agree. I think seeing all of those Maddens throughout the year throughout the years, Madden's really good at hype trailers. If you didn't know that, you can go YouTube all of their old trailers because they're all very good. So BT, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was when we saw that DeLorean on screen, and I said to myself, I bet Ryan talks about that DeLorean, and Ryan talked about that DeLorean.
You know me so well.
Look, it's going to sound like a cop-out. I don't mean it to, but my favorite moment of the stream was the stream. It's next gen. It's here. We got quotes about all of this is simulated Xbox Series X specs. We got quotes about all of it is running in engine. We got quotes that they have hundreds of games coming up, and we saw that splash screen with just all the different developer logos. I've been doing this job for 5 years, and you always hear Xbox is great, but where are the games? Where are the games? Where are the games? This seems like the first step in planting that flag saying, hey, here are the games. Okay, we got it. We heard you. Take these games. Go away. Play these games. I'm just excited that next gen is here, man. Like we our industry and our hobby, it is good for another half decade and hopefully longer.
And can I point out too, Brandon, that what you were just talking about there with the third-party games, and they showed that screen that we just had up with all the third-party logos on it. That's exactly what Sony did at the PS4 unveiling in February of 2013, which really did help set the tone for them to say, hey, we've got a ton of developers on board here. And to your exact point, I think that Microsoft doing that here as well just shows like, hey, look, we've got a ton of support behind this thing. And they're here when like, hey, we're here for you. We're going to have a ton of games.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention that I did get feels watching Second Extinction, the shooter dinosaur game, when all of those guys are huddled together, just unloading into a horde of dinosaurs, and they're pulping apart. There are chunks of dino going in every direction, and I just thought, like, oh, they didn't ask for that, you know? Like they went extinct. You brought them back, and now you're pulping them.
Now we're doing the second extinction.
If this game is left for Dino Crisis, I'm just sign me up right now. I'm in on day one.
I'm so ready for that game. I don't care.
Also, those dinosaurs are made of paper mache. Poor dinosaurs. They're not held together very well.
Jeez, look at that. First of all, those aren't normal dinosaurs.
Made out of paper mache. All their guts flying through the screen made me really reconsider great graphics and how bad they make you feel sometimes.
Like, I kind of feel bad for these dinosaurs, but also their teeth are very scary. So I don't know.
They
I got a
look
gun.
like normal dinos. They look like dinos that maybe had a couple of bad days strung together, and now they're just on the chopping block, so to speak. No,
it's like, let's be clear,
Littlefoot
really is not among this group.
All the friendly dinosaurs, they all left.
Bringing me back.
It's fine. But so we saw some third-party games. We saw a very big title sequence, like you were saying, Ryan, of a lot of third-party studios. Let's talk about games that we didn't see. I mean, Ryan, are you excited about any third-party games that we didn't see in this stream?
Well, I mean, I think the big one that a lot of people were hoping for and really crossing their fingers for, particularly because, there's all these marketing deals now with third parties where, well, this third party is going to show with Microsoft and this one's going to show with Sony. And Cyberpunk 2077 is the big one I think people wanted to see. Now, I'm not surprised it wasn't on here necessarily because it's not a Series X game, proper Series X game. It is an Xbox One game, but nevertheless, it is confirmed that it's going to be supported. You'll be able to play it on your Series X. So I think that's the one everyone was really hoping to see. And I guess if I go back to my Twitter feed over the last couple of days, in the hype leading up to this, a lot of people really wanted to see Elden Ring as well. That one did not make an appearance this time around, but we'll see what we've got one of these every month to look forward to. So we'll see if that pops up at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm. I really hope that my mic is not picking up all of my stomach sounds right now because I just got really, really hungry. But don't leave and get a quick snack because this ad break's going to be so fast you won't have time, or maybe if your kitchen's really close. But we'll be right back after this break where we're going to talk more about Xbox exclusive games, what we're expecting from Xbox 2020, and of course, our best of show.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
All right, we're back. If you got a snack and made it to right now, let us know in the chat. Or don't. I don't know. Whatever. So we were talking about games that we didn't see. Now, Miranda, first-party games, we already knew we weren't going to see them, but we're expecting them in July. Let's look ahead a little bit. What are you hoping comes out of that July stream?
Halo. That's just like the easiest thing to say. We did get a tease at the very beginning of the show saying that in July we will also hear from Ninja Theory, we will hear from Obsidian, and we will also hear from Double Fine. So there are a lot of things for us to look forward to, and I was really glad they specifically named people that will, or I guess companies that will be presenting something in July. Obviously, Halo has to be the biggest thing. We want to see the Chief. We want to see what's in store for his next adventure. Everyone's super excited. At least I know everyone on this panel is. And so we want to see that for sure. But we do have those companies, among many others, of their first-party group presenting in July. So I feel like with Double Fine, we're going to get some more Psychonauts, Ninja Theory. They could have more Hellblade, but they could also have their other projects because we know that they're working on a lot. So I think it's pretty up in the air for what you can see. we could see more from Sea of Thieves. Of course, we have Battletoads. And then the rumored Fable that we always talk about and wish would be announced because we want more Fable. So I think there's a lot of potential for whatever they have to show in July.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll even finally find out what the initiative is working on, and maybe it's Perfect Dark. Who knows? Time will tell. Well, July will tell. Brandon, what did you think of today's Inside Xbox and kind of the tone that it sets and the expectations that it sets for all of these other briefings?
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good first step. I think Ryan and I both touched on it. Maybe we were a little disappointed with how much they showed off, or sort of the content of it. But when you look at sort of what the uphill battle Microsoft has in reclaiming market share of the console space, that launch window is as important as anything else, which is, I think, why July is so important, right? We're going to see Halo. We're going to see some of the first party stuff. That more than anything is really going to set the tone. This was a good first step. It says we have games, we have partners, we are working on next gen. You're going to get more than just Halo. You're going to have a huge sort of catalog of games to play with an asterisk next to it, meaning, the new console will be supported by Xbox Game Pass, but you're also going to have a huge amount of games, on Xbox Game Pass and from new developers like Chorus, which I think we're watching B-roll for right now, a cool space game that came out of nowhere. So I think this is a really good first step in saying we have the partners, we have the intention, most importantly, that the Xbox Series X is a game console for people who play video games. It doesn't do everything. It does a lot of things, and it does one thing very, very well. And this today was really the first step in showing us that they mean that.
Mm-hmm. And now, Miranda, what do you think they really nailed with this?
I think they did a really good job of the pacing. I think the format was pretty good. Some of the trailers weren't necessarily the best, but that's not necessarily their fault. What I do like, though, is some of the trailers that left a lot of things up in the air, they revisited at the end of the show, and so that they had all of our interviews then. It may have been like a little jumble just because I haven't thought about that in a while because it was at the beginning of the show. But being able to revisit that and get a little bit more of a deep dive with the developers behind these games, I think is really valuable because then they can, of course, have a minute to talk about their games without breaking up the show too much by putting it toward the end. So people who, of course, who are really interested in hearing more about these games have that time to watch and kind of listen to what these developers have to say in a very good spot without breaking up the flow and the excitement of all the reveals that they had. And I think it was pretty important, too, because, again, some of these trailers didn't really tell a lot about these games. And getting a little bit more of their insight onto what their intentions are for it really helped.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with the format. I really liked trailer, and then kind of slowing things down and really breaking it down for us. Ryan, how do you think this sets the expectation for, let's just go back to that July Inside Xbox where we're going to get first-party games. How much do you think they're going to stick to this format, or do you think that it's going to be fluid where maybe that Inside Xbox in July is hopefully 3 hours long? Maybe not that long, but they maybe get into things a little bit deeper.
Well, I mean, I think the less is more. Nintendo's been having a lot of success with the frequent smaller Nintendo Directs for a long time now. Sony doing a similar thing, kind of sort of copying that format with the State of Play. And I think this works. I personally, I'm an Xbox fan, but I find the Inside Xbox up until today to be honestly pretty overproduced. It's a little much. I like that this was, as Miranda noted, just kind of game. And I think this is just, again, part of the plan that they've been doing a really good job on so far. They showed the console. They told you the name at the Game Awards in a surprise fashion. We got the tech specs just in March that was. And now here's some third-party games, including mostly games you've never seen before. It's all building up towards, and then now we're going to tell you that in July, it's going to be all 15, well, maybe not all 15, but hopefully we'll see something from most of the 15 first-party studios, including the stuff you guys touched on earlier. I mean, I'm dying for that Fable reboot announcement from Playground's second team. Forza Motorsport 8 is a very likely launch title. Of course, more Halo. Halo's been quiet for a long time now. So and then Miranda mentioned Obsidian. There's a team that we know of at Obsidian that hasn't, we don't know what they're up to. We know they're doing Grounded. And then there's the Pillars of Eternity team, there's the Outer Worlds team that's just coming off of their game. So Obsidian and then Double Fine, like, wait, is that Psychonauts 2 or is that something else new that Double Fine's cooking up? They're the most recent acquisition for Microsoft. So that, I think it's all just building up the hype. Like today was just a cool step, but they're really building towards that July event where it's like, here you go. You've wanted exclusive games for so long. We're going to show you a ton of them now. So the plan's going real well so far, I think.
So apparently the audience is super stoked about Scorn and just really in love with that. Now, Brian, I just combined both of you guys' names.
I'll get him.
BT. Let's talk more about Scorn. What do you know about it up to this point?
It was first announced, I think, back in 2014, started development. It was really kind of under the radar for years and years and years. Back then I think it is a first-person adventure game, but so here's a fun fact. If you want to see footage of this game, you can. It's out there. Like they have been revealing, little tidbits of it over the years. I'm actually really stoked and kind of quite surprised that it's making its way to console. I kind of always envisioned that it would just live on Steam forever, but it does have those elements that we're going to find gross. I do remember seeing some gameplay of like pulling a gun out of someone's chest or a gun, something that looked like vaguely gun shaped out of someone's chest. So there was a weird sort of biomechanical organic component to it. It's no surprise that the audience is attracted to it, right? Like, look, it's titillating. It checks all the boxes. There's the horror theme. There's the weird otherness theme. There's the maturity of it. It's whatever this weird like sort of baby situation going on is. It really does check like all those boxes where you might not like it, but you kind of want to know more about it. And I think that's what some of the the most popular things do.
I can help feed the audience's hunger for this game a little bit as I've got my cheat sheet. So it's designed around the idea of, quote, being thrown into the world. Isolated and lost inside this dreamlike world, you will explore different interconnected regions in a non-linear fashion. The unsettling environment, Miranda, is a character itself. Every location contains its own theme/story, its own puzzles and characters that are integral in creating a cohesive world. Throughout the game, you will open up new areas, acquire different skill sets, weapons, various items, and try to comprehend the sights presented to you. And I'll add gross sights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comprehend is the right word.
We have a great team, and they have updated us that there was a rather informative tweet that this will be available at launch for Series X. It is immersive horror, as we have seen, with brutal, unforgiving gameplay, and seems like it's quite puzzle heavy, is what they said from what they saw 3 years ago. So we don't know how much that's changed. So unfortunately, this is also turning up into a game that's right up my alley, except that it's horror. So I guess I'm just going to take a shot and see where this goes. I do love spooky things, like the messengers in Bloodborne. Those are like one of my favorite things of all time. Yeah. But this thing that's happening right now, that weird tentacle thing, you prick it and you're just feeding it to this weird skeleton thing. I don't like that. I'm not about that life. But sometimes you get curious and say, like, why is that happening? I would like to know why this became a weird blood flower monster. I am interested to see more and see how they go about presenting what this world is, and especially the kinds of puzzles that you'll see. And what they can offer. Also, here's my skeleton now that I got a skeleton. To go with the spooky theme that we're hitting. She's not fleshy though.
Well, before launch, maybe you can make it fleshy. Ew, I can't believe I just said fleshy on stream. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and I bet it's not a Summer of Gaming ad, but stick around because right after that, we're going to be talking our best in show, aka stream. See you on the other side.
Beginning in June, watch IGN's exclusive Summer of Gaming content for the latest and greatest in game reveals, news, trailers, next-gen coverage, and more. Tune in wherever you like to watch IGN or on IGN One on your Samsung TVs.
That was so dumb. Why did I do that? Okay, we're talking Best of Show. Welcome back. So let's just kick it off with Ryan. I'm going down the line. Give us your best in show.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with Bright Memory Infinite, which I was gushing on a bit earlier, because it's definitely my kind of game. It's a just first person. There's shooting. There's driving. There's some sort of crazy story going on. There's a weird just whole vibe to it. It looks good, really good visually. There's like that melee right there. That kind of reminded me of an old cult classic, original Xbox game that probably 2 people watching this will remember, called Breakdown. So if there's first-person melee combat, first-person shooting, first-person driving, and just a lot of strange story and a compelling sci-fi aesthetic, like, I'm in. Like, count me in for this. So I think that's where I'm leaning on this one. I'm really eager to see more of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. But Miranda, your turn. What is your best in show?
Yes. In addition to Bright Memory Infinite, I also like the wall running. I like the sliding. It's like I'm getting a lot of Titanfall feels. Like, this is some good movement. Mine was definitely Yakuza Like a Dragon. I am ashamed because I have not gone in depth in playing all these Yakuza games. And every time I see it, they always just look like a blast. Like, you got that like crime drama going on. You've got prison. And then you've got some wild parties where you're going to go sing karaoke and play crane games and then go beat somebody up afterward. And then just fantastic fight. And every time I see one of these trailers, it just looks like so much fun. Like, this is what I want from video games, among many other things. But this is the one that I want to experience. And I'm so glad it's going to be a launch title. I know that these also have like really great stories too, and they're just so fun. And I want to play this game. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we were talking about that, how Yakuza just seems so up both of our alleys. And for whatever reason, I just haven't played it. And so I agree. I'm very excited to hear that it's coming as a launch title for Xbox Series X. Now, BT, favorite, best in show. Let's go.
Best in show, it's tough. I saw a lot of cool things that I liked, some things that I wish I saw more of. I don't think it's Assassin's Creed, because a lot of what we saw, we had already seen, or something akin to it. I can't wait to see more about that. For me, it's between Course 51. It came out of nowhere, a cool spaceship. Seems like some sort of weird cerebral kind of connection with the ship, or maybe another entity out there. And then I think the actual outside of Chorus, I think not to beat the drum or anything, but Scorn. We're thinking about it, we're talking about it, and I think the reason I play video games is because the best ones make me feel something, right? And just watching that trailer for Scorn made me feel unsettled. It made me feel a little weird. So like there's something to that, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that my best in show was Scorn, but I agree there's definitely something there. And I want to go back to Scorn, actually, because you were talking about how Xbox makes games, or rather Microsoft makes games that maybe aren't being made everywhere. Now, what do you think a game like Scorn could do to give us, like, let's speculate on what Scorn could do, like a successful Scorn, to give us more interesting, weird, out there games?
Yeah, I think it just sort of adds to that narrative that video games can be anything that you want. Like there is a blueprint for a successful video game. There are several, actually. That's why first-person shooters in Call of Duty have been around so long. That's why a lot of Ubisoft games are open world with a ton of things to do. There are boxes you can check that not guarantee, but that strongly suggest your game will do well if you can pull it off. What I really, really love to see is games like Limbo and games like Inside really kind of push, what a successful video game could be in weird, strange new directions that, like Scorn, might be uncomfortable, but there's something there. There's something to see. I think Hellblade diving, now that it's becoming a franchise, that's awesome. But when Hellblade came out, it did things differently. It made me feel something that I, hadn't actually gotten a chance to feel in a game like it before. So, the more successful the weird ones get, the better it is for everyone, I think.
If Scorn ends up being like the Condemned of the Xbox Series X launch, that'll be a good thing, because Condemned was one of my favorite 360 launch games, and there are some similarities. Creepy first-person game. So yeah. If that's the ceiling for Scorn, so be it. That'd be great.
I love the weird
Yeah,
ones.
so we're actually seeing that Twitter is kind of split between what it seems like all of your opinions are in terms of like, yeah, Scorn, give me more. And another side of Twitter is kind of like, please don't ever show me that again. Please, I beg you. And actually, we're looking at this and seeing that Scorn will be exclusive to Xbox Series X at launch. So we've got another exclusive, a timed exclusive. Sorry about that. But I think it's really interesting. We literally only have like a few seconds to chat on this. So whoever wants to chime in, I'll let you guys fight each other for this. But why do you think they didn't say that in the stream?
Well, they
That's
didn't
a good
say
question.
it. They didn't.
There's no
Go ahead,
good answer.
Miranda.
Oh yeah, I'd say that's a good question because there's not really a good answer. I feel like we were missing a lot of information from this stream, and they're kind of relying on everyone following up on things that they're interested rather than actually presenting everything that needed to be known in this stream, which is a little bit weird. And it is hard to have like everything in there, and like there's so much to say, and I think they wanted to cut down on how much they had to say.
Yeah. I'm so, oh my, Miranda, God bless you. Thank you. You kept that so short because it means that I don't have to interrupt somebody. So I want to thank all of you in the audience for hanging with us for these hours. It was definitely an exciting way to kick off some announcements. Thank you all, Unlocked crew, for joining me. Now, if you want more Xbox updates, make sure you check out Unlocked with the Unlocked crew, some of which were the wonderful folks who are with me today. And, you know, if you're hyped about this and you want more announcements and more coverage just like this, IGN Summer of Gaming kicks off in June. Now we're going to have dev interviews, we'll have demos, we'll have more next-gen console coverage, and that will all be happening wherever you watch IGN, whether that's IGN.com, our Twitch, our YouTube, and on IGN One on your Samsung TV Plus. Thank you all so much for joining. I'm Sydney Goodman, and I hope your day is as awesome as you are. Bye, guys.